So those were the global headlines. Time now for the big focus tonight on gravitas. The U.S. Iran tensions, which are intensifying at a much faster speed now. The whole world is watching this conflict with worry. After Iran shot down a U.S. drone, New York Times report claims that U.S. President Donald Trump gave an initial approval for the U.S. military to launch strikes on Iran. The report also says that Trump pulled back from the strikes at the last minute. Trump has said that he pulled out of the strikes because it could have killed nearly 150 people. Iran says that it received the information of possible U.S. strikes through Oman overnight. According to the New York Times article, planes were in the air and ships in position for the attack on Iran before the U.S. president pulled out of the strikes at the 11th minute, quite literally. If such an attack indeed takes place, then it will be the third such military action under Trump. The U.S. has struck twice, keep in mind, at targets in Syria, once in the year 2017 and once last year. So what's the situation as of now? Will the U.S. attack Iran at a later time? There's no clarity on the issue. So far, the White House and the Pentagon have not commented on any reports. Meanwhile, there are contradictory reports on the location of the attacks. Iran maintains that the drone was shot down within its boundaries. Tehran maintains that the U.S. drone violated the sovereignty of Iran and so it had to be shot down. Iranian television channels have also shown the retrieved sections of the drone that they downed. They claim that as an evidence of the U.S. breaching their boundaries.
So these are debris from RQ-4, the Global Hawk. And these fragments were picked up in our territorial waters. Is that right?
In fact, this drone debris is conclusive evidence of aerial violation by America into our territorial waters.
But that's not the only version of the story. On your screens now is the image that has been released by Washington. The U.S. government claims that the UN manned aircraft was in international airspace when Iran shot it down. Iran, however, disagrees. Trump tweeted yesterday that Iran, quote-unquote, made a very big mistake. The ongoing tensions has created worries among international bodies and countries. United Nations spokesperson said that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is concerned by the rising tensions and has urged all the parties to maintain calm.
I think he's very concerned with the situation in that region. He has appealed to all parties to remain calm. And of course, he's said that the worst thing that could happen would be an escalation of the situation in that region. So he's appealing for calm and reason regarding the situation. The last thing we need is another war in that area.
Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, says that European Union is worried about the escalation of the dispute. She urged both the countries, Iran and the US, to think of a political solution. Russia's President Vladimir Putin says that US's decision to send a drone to Iran could lead to a catastrophe.
Сразу сказать, это было бы катастрофой для региона как минимум, потому что это привело бы к всплеску насилия и, может быть, к увеличению, кстати говоря, и количества беженцев из региона.
Meanwhile, the Aviation Administration of the U.S., Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, has issued an emergency order. FAA has prohibited all the U.S. air carriers from flying in Iran's airspace over the Strait of Hormuz, as well as the Gulf of Oman. Several international airlines have taken precautions after that order from the FAA. The situation is looking extremely scary now, and the fears resonated in the U.S. as well. Democrat and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer expressed worries that the Trump administration may bumble into a war on Iran.
Now, I told the president that these conflicts have a way of escalating. The president may not intend to go to war here, but we're worried that he and the administration may bumble into a war. We told the room that the Democratic position is that congressional approval must be required before funding any conflict in Iran. One of the best ways to avoid bumbling into war, a war that nobody wants, is to have a robust, open debate and for Congress to have a real say.
So there are mixed signals. Both Iran and the U.S. say that they do not want to engage in a conflict. But if the New York Times report is anything to go by, the situation is evolving as we speak. And more importantly, it's getting more volatile in West Asia at the moment.